This is CNN Breaking News.
And good evening, I'm Erin Burnett. We're following the breaking news at this hour out of Minneapolis. For the first time, we are hearing now from the family of the man shot and killed by federal agents there today, 37-year-old Alex Priddy, an ICU nurse who worked at a Veterans Affairs hospital. And we're also going to play a newly obtained video for you, which shows really the full breadth of this from a new angle. A warning that the images you are about to see are disturbing. Let me play this in full.
Go. What the is wrong with you? Get the people! The is wrong with you? Honestly!
That sound you hear at the end was the first shot, and then that video cuts out. Homeland Security posted this image of the gun that they say Alex Priddy had on his person. He did not shoot it. They said that the man approached Border Patrol officers with it. It's a 9mm semi-automatic. State and local officials dispute that. They also say he had a permit to carry it. The family of Alex Priddy also disputes it and is speaking out now. In a statement, they say they are heartbroken, and they continue to say that the sickening lies told about our son by the administration are reprehensible and disgusting. Alex is clearly not holding a gun when attacked by Trump's murdering and cowardly ICE thugs. He has his phone in his right hand, and his empty left hand is raised above his head while trying to protect the woman ICE just pushed down, all while being pepper sprayed. Please get the truth out about our son. He was a good man. Thank you. What they describe in terms of what happened in the order is exactly what the video shows. CNN's Tom Foreman is here to walk us through what we're hearing from federal officials, but also what the videos show, including the new videos, because what they are saying and what the videos are showing are not always the same thing, Tom.
Yeah, very much. I want to start with the very first statement made by the Trump administration in the aftermath of this shooting. It was a tweet by the Department of Homeland Security showing a firearm on what appears to be the seat of a car. And the tweet reads, an individual approached U.S. Border Patrol officers with a 9mm semi-automatic handgun seen here. You see the picture behind it there. This looks like a situation where an individual wanted to do maximum damage and massacre law enforcement. Now we have this new angle of the video that's just been cleared by CNN, and it shows the lead up to this deadly altercation. This is what I want you to take a look at. Of course, this is disturbing video. Let's take some time though and watch this together. Some things to note. As it begins, you see Priddy out there in the middle of the street. He shows up right in this area here. You start seeing him, and he is at one point using his camera. There he is, right there, and he's pointing to traffic, sort of waving traffic through. At some moment here, you see that law enforcement approaches him, and he backs away as they start moving up on him. He is not trying to move toward them. He's backing away. Then you're going to see one of these officers approach a woman near him and really forcefully shove her to the ground right there. And Priddy starts rushing over toward her. Now, they're both getting pepper sprayed at this point. He gets grabbed, and he's taken over to the ground here. I'll point out this is about 15 seconds from when officers turned to him. He's now on the ground. They are on top of him. The officers are all around. He does not appear to have a weapon in his hand. He doesn't brandish anything. He doesn't seem to do anything. And then all of a sudden you see one agent in the middle there. Look, he turns away, and that's when the shooting begins. One shot followed by, in our analysis, 9 other shots there. We heard from Border Patrol Chief Greg Bovino. He was asked at what point Priddy brandished a weapon in all of this. This was his answer.
Allie, this situation, again, is evolving. This situation is under investigation. Those facts will come to light.
This is important because an important detail, because concealed carry is legal. We know from local officials Priddy had a permit to carry a weapon, and law enforcement analysts here on CNN have raised questions as to why the picture of this gun that DHS shared online was shown on the seat of a car and not in the scene where Priddy was shot. And we now have an answer. CNN analysis shows, if you watch all those videos carefully, you see a federal agent right there who appears to be removing a gun. This is very critical to remember. That piece of video you're seeing right there is happening about a second, or maybe slightly less than a second, before the shooting begins. Now, it is just video. We have to look at it. There will be a lot of questions here, but that's the reason people say you have to have a truly impartial and fair investigation here, because if he removed the gun before all this shooting broke out, then why is this man now dead? It's really quite a remarkable series of events all coming together here, but almost all of them, Aaron, contradict the story that came out of the Trump administration early on today.
Yes, and that is what is so crucial, is that the reality, such that we can see it on now so many videos, does not match what official sources are saying the facts are, which is obviously deeply disturbing on so many levels. And you have this man with this horrible tragedy being killed. Tom Foreman, thank you very much. Joining me now is former FBI agent Dan Brunner. Dan, you hear that eyewitness, and obviously, what he saw, we've now got so much video that is all showing what happened. What is your take from everything that you have seen, and having had a few hours for it to sink in, re-rack it, think about it?
I've seen a lot of the videos, and I've seen a lot of this different commentaries from on multiple news networks to really get a feel for this all. And this is absolutely a horrible situation. That is, for me, in my opinion, was excessive force. Seeing the officer remove the weapon from the victim and seeing him move across the street, and then within a second or two, you're hearing the first shot. They haven't shown us that the only argument that could be had here is if the individual had a second weapon somewhere on his body, or he was reaching for a second weapon, but we don't see that. We don't have that. The government would have shown us that. They've shown us the single weapon that he has. The other thing that's really disturbing is on this video that actually you're showing right now, when you see the incident, when you see the officers closing in on the victim, you see one officer with his gun out while he's physically trying to detain the victim. And that is one of the things that we are trained with. If you have your gun out, you are not putting hands on the individual that you're attempting to detain, because for one exact reason, there may be what's called a sympathetic discharge, where your hand may be thinking that it's flexing to detain, to punch, to grab a handcuff. And those are the things that I feel may have happened here, that there was a sympathetic discharge, and then the other officers heard that firing, and they decided to open fire. They opened fire on an individual that was unarmed. And they killed a man that was unarmed. And that's the problem that we have now. And we're seeing ICE officers that are not trained in this sort of situation.
Well, what you just said there, they killed a man who was unarmed. I mean, it's painful to even hear it when you say it that way. I want to just show what you're talking about, though. We've got this freeze frame. Okay, I've got it up here, Dan. This is the instant when the officer takes the gun away from Alex Priddy. And I will note for anyone, just joining or not aware, he had a license to carry this, and there is no evidence in any of the video that at any point did he pull the gun. But they took it off of him, right here in the freeze frame. This is before the first shot. I'm just making the point of what you're saying. This is before the first shot. So his gun was gone away from him. His weapon was away from him when he was shot, right? It's just there in black and white in a freeze frame, what you just said, that he was unarmed when killed.
And you see that there's another angle that would be off to the left, another camera angle, where you see that officer just to the left of the individual with the gray jacket. There's an individual with a green shirt. That individual has a gun out. And at a certain point, you see that weapon discharge. And that is the first shot, which I believe, like I said, he was involved in attempting to detain.
And you think that was, when you
victim.
say sympathetic, that's essentially just to be clear here, Dan, you're saying that was probably accidental, but this is the guy that you're saying had the gun in one hand and was pushing somebody with his other hand, which would be against protocol, number one. But number two, why you think the gun may have gone off?
Correct. I believe that he had the gun in his left hand and I'm not quite sure which hand he had it, but you could see the gun. And I believe that, yes, he had his gun while he was trying to detain the individual, and that maybe his hand flexed, maybe he fired a shot, or someone yelled gun. I know Chief Ramsey mentioned the same thing. You typically call, gun removed. These type of situations, you had a very chaotic situation. I believe that first shot may have been an accidental discharge, but the other 9 shots were not. Those individuals fired at it. And those are the things that we are trained as agents, as officers. You're responsible for every round that leaves your gun. Every other officer had to have seen the danger, the threat of danger to themselves. You cannot fire your weapon because you saw somebody else do it. You yourself are responsible for your gun. You are responsible for those rounds that leave your gun. They had to have seen a danger coming from the person that was on the ground. If they didn't see it, you cannot fire because someone else is shooting. You cannot do that. If they didn't see the danger, they were just firing.
So, Dan, then what do you say when it's already come out from, the federal government, from DHS, that this was in self-defense? There's nothing more to see here. Obviously, no indication that there'll be any sort of an investigation. What's your reaction to that?
Well, one of the things that the government has said today, and they said in the previous shooting, is that these were defensive shots. There's no such thing as defensive shooting. There's no such thing. It is a made-up term. They were shooting to subdue a subject. When you shoot your weapon, you're shooting to stop the threat, not to kill the person. You want the threat to end, and you continue shooting until the threat is eliminated. It's stopped. It no longer is. Does not mean kill. If the person happens to die, that's unfortunate, but you stop. So these individuals, the defensive shooting is a made-up term that the government is saying. And we've clearly seen just by video that a lot of the statements that they've made this morning, Secretary Noem and Mr. Bovino, that they've said, they've already been debunked. So we know that clearly the photograph of the weapon in somebody's front seat, there's no evidence being collected correctly. There isn't an investigation. The previous shooting, we already know from the resignations yesterday, we know that those investigations into that first shooting were derailed. They were asked to not proceed and move forward. So I have questions about this, and we know that the statements already have been debunked. So I have real questions whether this investigation will move forward correctly.